Hello, hi, I'm Tobi and I like to read books. Welcome to this tiny little corner of the internet where I basically run my mouth about books that I love, don't like, I'm currently reading, that I would recommend, and who knows what other content. Still very weird to say that.
I'm a content creator now.
But I just want to have fun, see where this goes. And yeah, this channel will probably be a bit chaotic, but it's a safe space, so sit back, enjoy. In this video, my first video, I will talk about my favourite books of 2021. I had a really good reading year, considering that in 2020 I read, I think 2.5 books, 2 full books. Started one, didn't finish it till 2021 because I was slogging my way through it. And the years before that, when I was at uni, anything that wasn't on my reading list was not read. I read 46 books in 2021, which is, for me, amazing. I'm never going to be reading like 100, 150 books because...
No, I want to get out in the world sometimes. I live life a bit, not just everything up in the air in my mind.
So, 46 books, 16,654 pages, and my average star rating was 4 stars, which is amazing. I'll link my Goodreads down below if you want to have a little gander, a little look at my reviews and the books that I read. So we will start off with historical fiction, and my absolute favourite, The Master and Margarita. If I just hold it like this, is this cuter? Let's do this. The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov, who is a Ukrainian writer but moved to Russia. And this book is filled with wacky characters, nonsensical plot lines, absurdity, and that's the whole point. It wants to capture the absurdity of Stalinism, the way it's stripped away people's freedom, their rights, their literary, creative freedom was infringed upon, and to give a bit more flavour of what the book is about. There essentially are 2 narratives in this book. There are 2 stories that we follow. You go back and forth between the 2. In the Master and Margarita storyline, the devil comes to Moscow with an entourage of demons, causes an absolute load of chaos, disorder, and, a lot of issues going down. And Voland, who is the devil, personified the devil in human form, essentially portrays Stalin. And the second story with Pontius Pilate and Yeshua Hanostri. Pilate is also a depiction of Stalin, and then Yeshua is a depiction of Bulgakov. And the satire, it won't be for everyone. The absolute, as I said, nonsensical plot lines will not be for everyone. But if you go into it from the beginning, just completely suspend disbelief, and also you just knowing that this is about 1930s Soviet life in Russia, then this book is fantastic. If you're a history lover, if you love a bit of humour, wackiness in a book, whilst you're also actually learning about what life is actually like as opposed to the actual just events and facts of this time, this is a great pickup for you. My pride and joy, so we'll be chilling here for the rest of the video. Next we have, I'm excited to talk about these. It's 2, oh god, it's 2, I can count, and that is the Poppy War series. So the Poppy War and the Dragon Republic, both easy 5 stars. If it was possible to give more than 5 stars, I would for this. Absolute beauty. The Poppy War series by Rebecca Kuang, and this is historical fiction. It's based on the Sino-Japanese War that happened in the 20th century, which this is a piece of history I was ignorant about. I didn't know Japan was out here colonizing and trying to colonize all these countries in Asia, because they really rebranded themselves with Hello Kitty, anime. I'm like, oh, cute country, but wow, they have a history. Yeah, I should not talk. I live in the UK, the biggest colonizer of them all. So no judgment there. I absolutely love Japan. Just disclaimer. Do I need to do that now? Anyways, let me actually talk about these 2 books. The Poppy War is a military historical fiction, and we follow Rin, who I think is one of my all-time favourite characters ever. If you want morally grey character, sis is your girl, literally grey. And we follow her as she goes to this elite military school. She's not expected to get in because she's a peasant girl from the south, adopted, was meant to be married off, but she manages to pass the test and get into this elite school. What is it called? Sign Guard. She rivals prejudices with her classmates, and she ends up dabbling in shamanism, which is considered a near mythical art. And then war ensues, the war between China and Japan, essentially. And Rebecca Kuang, what I love, she does not romanticize war in the slightest. She shows you how brutal, how inhumane war truly is. It's definitely hard to read at times. This is a dark historical fiction, and rightly so, because this piece of history is dark. There's actually a chapter, I can't remember which chapter, but if you've read this book, you know the chapter I'm talking about, where the events and the actions committed were so horrific and vile. I had to put down the book for a bit because I was genuinely overwhelmed and disturbed. And honestly, I was kind of mad at the author for a hot minute, because I was like, why did this come up in your mind? I don't, no. And then to do research, because I think I must have researched this chapter of the book and saw a lot of other people's outrage and sort of shock, to find out nothing in that chapter was actually fiction. It was all based on real events. That was really difficult to digest and read, but important to shine light on. It's a part of history. This did happen to people, unfortunately. But also just Rebecca's writing is so accessible, it's fast paced, and she has the perfect, this is why it's 5 stars, she has the perfect balance of plot and also like character driven, character focused aspect too. And the two together just chef's kiss, just wonderful. And then this bad boy, oh my gosh, the Dragon Republic, this is all just war. So this is why I think so many people love this book, a bit more than the Poppy War itself. And the political intrigue in this, the way relationships and the dynamics alter, change, you genuinely are so invested and love a lot of these characters, or you hate, but you love to hate them. Rin in this book, she, as I said, one of my favorite characters, but she made me want to yank out my braids at times. Some of her decisions and actions are infuriating, but I'm still rooting for her. She's still my gal. This was a great sequel, because with trilogies especially, you can often get with a middle book, you know, it can be a bit of a dud, a little bit of a dip, you know, from the first, second, and third. But this, it was first, second, like, oof. So I'm excited next year to pick up The Burning God, the last book in the series. I didn't want to read it in 2021 because I just didn't want to finish the series yet. Like, I want to long it out for as long as I can. I've heard good things about this. I think the general consensus though still is this is the best one, the second novel, but I'm so excited to dive into this. And I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm not sure my heart is ready. It needs to make sure I'm in a good mental state when I read this. So yeah, hopefully I'll be letting you know what I think about this year. Okay. Next. Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera, who's a French-Czech author. So this book was actually given to me by someone very dear to me, and if they didn't give me this book, honestly, I don't think I ever would have heard about it. I hadn't heard about it. So this novel mainly takes place in Prague, explores the artistic and intellectual life of Czech society from the Prague Spring in 1968 to the invasion of Czechoslovakia by the Soviet Union. And in this novel, we follow 2 men, 2 women, and a dog. I know a lot of people find it quite pretentious, and I get that, but honestly, I wasn't mad at it. Kundera, the way he explores themes such as love, infidelity, death, political ideologies, art, relationships. He explored it in a way that I've never seen before, and I think it's really the way he explores love that I found extremely interesting. And the fact that something which can be so fleeting and ever-changing and shifting has such a hold on everyone's necks in humanity and such heavy existence in the world. That contrast was just really beautifully explored. I like the Kundera who doesn't really try and enforce or encroach his ideas of these different themes that are explored in this novel onto the reader. It's great because these are things where there are no absolute answers, and it really forces you to rethink how you think about things like polyamory, monogamy, love itself, political ideologies. Just, yeah, makes you think a lot, but not while your brain is hurting, just in a good way. So yeah, this was a very unexpected 5 stars for me. I did not think I was gonna love this book the way I did. So I wish this book got a bit more love on Booktube. I don't see that many people talk about it, so pick this one up. So next, we'll go into literary fiction. Oh, this is a beauty. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Vuong. Oh, because when I first was reading it, I was like, I'm not smart enough to understand this. Like, this writing is very lyrical, and I was like, okay. But then before I knew it, I found the writing enchanting, poignant, beautiful. I actually read it on my Kindle, and it was the first time I actually found myself trying to figure out, how do I use this highlighting thing on Kindle? Because so many of the lines, I genuinely would stop and gasp, like, I don't think I had to demonstrate how I gasp, but you get the idea. Oh, this was, of course, 5 stars as well. So this is a debut novel by Vuong, who is a Vietnamese-American poet. It's an epistolary novel. These are some of my classical Greek that I regret studying for GCSE, because epistole is letter in Greek. It's written in the form of a letter from a Vietnamese-American son to his illiterate mother. The themes that are discussed in this book were definitely hard to read at times. It caused me to shed some tears. We discuss war, specifically the Vietnamese War, racism, identity, discovering one's sexuality, abuse, neglect, relationships, especially family relationships and relationship between a mother and son, and the use of such beautiful and lyrical writing to describe such harrowing and sometimes dark content. That contrast, honestly, just exquisite. As soon as I finished the book, I already was like, I can't wait to reread this book. So this is a book I really hoped I get to reread this year. It is beautiful. Definitely not for everyone. If you're someone who enjoys poetry or lyrical writing, you will appreciate the writing in this book, even if the content doesn't resonate with you. And it's not that long of a book, so definitely I'll say give it a go. If you're someone who just enjoys different themes being discussed, especially like darker themes, again, this book might be one that you enjoy. But if you're someone who really loves plot, you need plot, nah, forget about it. This is no plot vibes. Very just character focused, character driven. But an absolute fave of mine. And because of this book, I picked up Night Sky of X Wounds, and this is Ocean's, I think, first poetry collection. Gorgeous. I've only read a few of them. Why am I holding the book so awkwardly? I won't lie. A couple of them back and they've gone over my head. But stunning, and he's definitely cemented himself as a new favourite author for sure. I will read anything this guy puts out. Oh, and also just want to quickly say, there's like different storylines that are being talked about and followed in this novel. So at first, the way it shifts can be really jarring and a bit confusing, but push past, because at first I was like, what is going on? But once you start getting used to his style of writing and like the kind of non-linear storytelling structure, you'll get swept away. And also it's like, I watched the interview he did and he said it's like kind of 10% autobiographical. That word gets me. 10% like an autobiography. It's like very, very semi based on his life and his experiences. And then obviously the rest is just a wonderful piece of fiction. This book is one you would have seen plastered all over BookTube, BookTok, Bookstagram, everywhere. Dun, dun, dun. 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Very easy 5-star that I read early-ish on in 2021, and this probably is the book that I've recommended the most to people in my life because it has such mass appeal. It's so accessible. It's such an easy book to fly through. If you're in a reading slump, this is a great book to read for sure. And I feel like most people at this point know what this book is about, but I'll still tell you just in case. This novel tells a story of an old Hollywood fictional star who was at her prime, 1950s to 80s, was at her prime. She decides to give a final interview to this unknown journalist. It's very surprising. She hasn't done any interviews. She's very mysterious, likes to keep her private life, well, that's a lie, quite mysterious. So the fact that she wants to do this final interview is like a big like, whoa, what's going on? And this is when she's much older, 79. Yeah, this was great. That's a really rubbish way to explain it. Another great story where you have a very morally grey character, because sisters things sometimes that you're like, Evelyn, no. But also, you know, you are rooting for her. You do want things to go her way. And it is so interesting following these different marriages, and you find out the reasons behind them, or these different relationships, and you get to discover her true love. And there's great sapphic romance in this, which is, you know, women on women. I say women on women action. That sounded a bit like a porno, but no, women loving women. What was also great is the way it touched on biphobia and just how bisexual people can often be misunderstood from people within the LGBTQIA plus community. Also, there's a sort of mystery element that's going on in the background. You're also like, oh, I want to keep reading to find out what happened, but also you're just loving having a little nosy into this old Hollywood glamour lifestyle. Taylor Jenkins Reid, this fictional celebrity world that she's conjured up in her mind is just phenomenal. You forget at times you're reading about fake celebs. Like in my mind, I'm like, yeah, Evelyn Hugo, that babe, yeah, I need to watch some of her films, but it's like, nah, they don't exist. She doesn't exist, but they jump off the pages. They feel so real, and this was an easy 5 stars. So the last book in the list, very fiction. I don't have the physical copy, so I'll just editor Tobi, insert here, s'il vous plaît, is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. This was the longest book I read in 2021, 720 pages of absolute turmoil, grief, pain. Yeah, if you want to cry, this is the book for you. But actually, no, on a serious note, this book isn't for everyone because the content in it at times is genuinely harrowing, disturbing, will 100% be very triggering, like badly, in a bad way. Like, I will definitely link down the content warnings, trigger warnings below, because this book, you should actually read every single one. I know it's tempting to go into it not reading them because you don't want to have any spoilers, but it's necessary because it's not even about the quantity of the trigger warnings and content warnings. It's the detail and depth and the vividness that Hanya Yanagihara brings to these different topics. Oh, you genuinely want to make sure you're in a quite solid, strong mental state at the time of reading, because my mental state was a bit at the time. And yeah, I definitely had to put it down at times and come back to it later because it was a lot. However, the novel is both beautiful but devastating, and that combination is a little bit of me. I like being made to cry at times, you know. I like to be, remember, I can feel I have got a heart in here somewhere. And it follows 4 young men when they're teenagers in college and how they become friends, and it just follows the 4 of their lives and their friendships and the way these friendships diverge or get closer and intersect and all of that good stuff over the years to them being middle-aged men. So this is definitely more vibes, no real plot, very character-driven, character-focused. But what I loved was the dynamic of the relationships and how they changed and grew, strengthened or weakened, and not just with romantic relationships, which you definitely do get that, but more, I love the focus on friendships, and especially intense. These were intense friendships, whether they're intense in a healthy way, the toxicity, how toxic it could also be. And there also is an element of mystery throughout, because one of the characters, Jude, you know, there's been stuff that happened in his childhood, but you only start getting little peeks throughout as you go along the book. Then you get the full picture by the end, and that's where a lot of the content, when it comes in, finding out more about Jude's upbringing. And I completely understand why a lot of people then dislike this book, actually, pretty much because of Jude's character. As when you find out more about his childhood, it does feel like the author is being emotionally manipulative. The amount of stuff that happened to this one person was unwarranted. It was uncalled for. It was too much. It got to a point where it felt like she just decided to rip out the plot of one like disturbing thriller and dash it in the middle of this novel. And it was like, okay, like, was that necessary? No. Like, this has been included purely to make this reading experience gut-wrenching, traumatic, just for the sake of it, so it can be like, yeah, you're gonna cry, and it's like, was that necessary? Already there was enough in there that's gonna hit the feels. So I get why people dislike it because of that, and I did feel that, but this book was just still so stunning and beautiful. I really enjoyed the non-linear storytelling structure that Hanya had throughout this book. I thought it just made the story and the characters more three-dimensional and really made them just jump off the pages, and was, as I said, devastating but also beautiful, poignant. And I am excited to read the book that Hanya has coming out this year. I'm really saying Hanya like we're on first name basis, like we're besties, we're friends. I'm excited to read more from her, but she does some thick books. So we'll see if I get around to that this year. But this was 5 stars, but as I said, it's not one I would really just recommend to people. Please read the content warnings, please. And watch some people's reading vlogs, like Noel Gallagher and Kat from Paperback Dreams have reading vlogs on this book, and Jack Edwards too. I'll link all their videos below. Just watch their vlogs, see their reactions, and see if this is really what you want to go through. It's a book I don't even know, would I actually read it again? I don't know, we shall see. I hope you enjoyed this video. I loved just rambling on about these books that I've absolutely loved, and I haven't had a chance to really share that with people. So I hope I get to meet other fellow book lovers, and let me know if you enjoyed any of these books, if you pick up any of these books, what books you loved in 2021, and I'll see you in the next video.